All right, theory kids, welcome back. We're going to talk today about major scales, the most important scale you're going to learn, and you can figure out just about every other scale based on this one. So really spend some time on this. Make sure you understand it and learn it. I'm going to talk today about how to build them, and we're going to listen to what they sound like. So, what is a major scale? Well, it's a diatonic scale, which means it's going to have 7 notes. Now, usually when you play them, they're 8 notes because you repeat the top one, and they're going to go in alphabetical order. So, for example, if I start on C, the first note would be C, then D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Okay, if I start on A, it's going to be A, B. It's going to be a C sharp, but it'll be some type of C, and then D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp. So you can see we're still going in alphabetical order until we reach the octave. Okay, so 7 notes, and then the octave gives us our 8 notes that we usually play. Yeah, what is the pattern for this? Well, you're going to start with your root. That's what the scale is named after, and we're going to start with C major. Okay, so I'm going to do this in treble clef, and we're going to start on a C right here, middle C. Okay, so that's our root. And then our pattern is whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. So if you don't know what that means, watch the whole step and half step video. But just a quick refresher, a whole step is when we go 2 keys away. So like C, that's 1 key, and then 2 keys to D. That's a whole step, and a half step is 1 key away. So starting from our root, we've got to go up a whole step. So C, a whole step up, 1, 2 keys is D. And remember, it's going to be some sort of D. We already know that because it goes in alphabetical order. So the next one's going to be some type of E. So I'll put this E down, and it's a whole step up from this D. So 1, 2 keys, that's an E. Now the next one is going to be some type of F, because that is the next letter in the alphabet up from E. And we're going half step now. So E, oh look, E to F is a half step. And then the next one is some type of G, whole step from F, 1, 2, to a G, natural. Cool, we don't have to change that. And then a whole step from G gives us an A. And a whole step from A gives us a B. And a half step from B, our last step, is a half step to C. So we can see here I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to put any sharps or flats in here. And why is that? Well, I picked this one on purpose because C major is, remember, the scale with no sharps or flats. And it's a great way, in case you forget this pattern, you can just look at the keyboard starting on C and see it, because it's going to be all white keys. So goes from C to D. Is there a key in between? Yes. So that's a whole step. That's our first one, whole. D to E. Is there a key in between? Yes, there is. This D sharp E flat is in between. So that's a whole step. Then E to F. Oh, there's the half step. F to G is a whole step. G to A is a whole step. A to B is a whole step. And B to C is a whole step. So we can see that it's whole, whole, half step right here. Whole, 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 half step right here. So if you ever forget, use C major. Okay, let's get into a different one. So we're going to start with, let's do an A flat major scale. And I'm going to do this in bass clef. Okay, so my A is right here in bass clef, and I'm starting on an A flat. Now, I can do this 2 ways. I could go each note individually, or I can do it like we did here, or I can do it this way, where I know, since it goes in alphabetical order, each one is going to be a step, so I can go until I reach another A flat, and now I can just go through the pattern and see which type of B is it, which type of C is it, which type of D is it. So let's do it this way. Starting on A flat, our first step is a whole step, so I bypass this A natural, that's a half step, and then we go to a B flat, that's a whole step. Now, it's always going to be a B flat. Why not an A sharp? Well, we already had an A. And also, when you build these scales, when you have flats, everything else is flat, okay? You're not going to have a mixture of flats and sharps in your major scales. You will have a mixture of flats, sharps, naturals, etc. when you start doing modified minor scales, but our major scales are not going to have those. So, A flat up to B flat. Okay, a whole step up from B flat. I skip B, I go to C. Cool, that's a C natural. Half step is our next step. So we went whole, whole. Here's the half. So D flat. And whole step to an E flat. Again, these are flats. They're not C sharp and D sharp because we have to go in alphabetical order, and because we know we already have flats. We're in a flat key. We're going to have flats. Okay, a whole step up from E flat is an F. and a whole step up from F is a G, and then a half step takes us back to A flat. So this is how we do this one. And you want to get really good at not just writing them down like this, but we want to just get really good at like identifying them on the piano. So like if I start on G, I know it's whole step to A, whole step to B, half step to C, whole step to D, whole step to E, whole step to F sharp, half step to G. So get really good at doing this on the piano. Okay, now I'm going to do down here. Actually, I'll do a sharp key for you. Let's go back into treble clef and let's do E. So we're going to do E major, E natural. Okay, so we're starting on E, and I won't do it this way where we put them all up. We'll just do it by following the piano. So let's start on E right here. And we're going to go a whole step first. And now it's going to be an F sharp because we know G flat is a skip away from E. So it's got to be an F since that's the next one. In this case, it's an F sharp. Whole step up from F sharp is going to be a G sharp, not an A flat. Half step up from G sharp is an A. Whole step, boom, to B. And then a whole step to C sharp. Whole step up from C sharp takes us to D sharp. And then a half step up from D sharp takes us to E natural again. So that key has 4 sharps, and that's how we build an E major scale. Now, what do these scales sound like? They sound happy. So here's C major. Right? Happy sounding. Here's E major. Oops. Anyways, so they should be pretty easy to identify, and we've obviously, if you're at this point, you probably have played these scales in class. So, not learning a ton of new stuff. Okay, so I'm going to give you a practice one to do. If you're in treble clef, you can do this one, and we're going to do, let's do D major. Okay, so treble clef there, bass clef there, both doing D major. Okay, so pause the video, see if you can figure out D major, even if you just need to go through the keyboard and figure it out. Do that, pause it. Okay, now I'm going to go over it, and then we'll end our video. So here's D. So I'll do it both ways. I'll do it this way where I'm just going to go up because I know they're all steps in alphabetical order, so I'm going to go D to D and then figure out which notes are sharp or flat. So starting on D, whole step takes us to E. Another whole step takes us to G flat. Oh wait, no, it's not G flat, it's F sharp because we're going from E, we have to go to an F. So we have an F sharp right here. Then a half step to G, whole step to A, whole step to B. Whole step takes us to C sharp right there. And then half step back up to D. So this key has 2 sharps. D major has 2 sharps. Let's do it the other way. Starting on D to E. So we'd write that in. E to F sharp. It's going to be the same answer, you guys. F sharp to G. G to A is a whole step. A to B is a whole step. And B to C sharp is a whole step. And then our final step is our half step. So we're going to go to D. And that's how to build major scales and what they sound like. So really study up on these. These are super important.